Alright, we should be live. Yes. Okay. Hi everyone. It's Lauren and Nicole, which makes up the writing duo. And for the AWC 2024, our video will be focused on Dave and Don't her writing a blind character.
So, being visually impaired, we thought it'd be cool to give some tips about how you can portray a character through their terrorizing traits, their physical restrictions, and also ways you could edit by having sensitivity readers, and also by things you want to avoid because it will irritate people that have this disability and are reading your manuscript.
And I feel like what kind of prompted the idea for this discussion was obviously we're both visually impaired writers, and we feel as though there is not a lot of representation in fiction.
Correct. Now, there is coverage in animation and mangas and comic books. But when it comes to fiction and nonfiction, I believe I've only come across 2, 3 at the most of characters that are fully blind. And the funny thing is, though, is that blindness is a spectrum. You could be fully blind and only see total darkness, or you fall under the being completely blind category and still see shades of gray, see static, or some people they see invert colors.
So why do you think that there is not a wide range of representation of blind or visually impaired characters in books?
Mainly because people just aren't sure of how to portray them, and because a lot of people will either fall into 2 categories when showing a character with a vision disability. It's either that they're fully blind, or there's someone that has to wear glasses for being nearsighted or having astigmatism. But in reality, there's different ways you can show this. And I'm going to do a couple different ones, and I'm going to use anime characters because
anime is awesome.
Anime is awesome. That's the one I know. I'm not going to go off the handle and talk about things I have no idea about.
Like even some of the examples I thought of when we were like brainstorming for the video was cartoon, which is still animation, so it still counts. So yay.
So like I said, the first one people think of is for people who have glasses. And some people will be shown having mirror glasses for, like I said, being nearsighted or astigmatism. Some people will show their characters having fit glasses if they're trying to show them having bifocals.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of people are familiar with The Simpsons. If you ever look at the character Milhouse, he has like the really, really thick bifocal glasses. But and then that brought up to my point of like it always has to be like the comedic sidekick.
Right. Or also from Simpsons you have Frank, who's a genius, and he wears his glasses because of the fact he's straining his eyes looking down Pier's way. Which is another one is that some people will have characters wearing blue tinted glasses, similar to the ones I'm wearing, which helps with light sensitivity and blue screens that are from technology.
But I feel like that backs up that statement that they're not the main character.
Yes. Another way that I've seen people do it is you'll have someone that has monocular vision. Yes, right. Which is vision in one eye. And this is shown here by them having a star across the eye that you can't see out of, like Tempachi from Bleach. Or that their hair or a piece of clothing will cover up that eye as well. In anime, they do a lot with hair. For example, E.L from Blood Butler. He sometimes will have it, but he'll also but he will also wear eye patch as well, which is also another common way to hide the eye.
I think it's cool you were saying how a lot of times characters will show an animation of them having a deformity or an issue with the eye with like a scar, and I wouldn't hide it. I think that's cool.
Right.
Shows that you were injured in battle and that you're a badass.
And another example I really like is Toph from Avatar The Last Airbender. Because when you're first introduced to her, she is wearing her hair up. So when you first see her, you just see a poor little blonde girl. But when she joins Team Avatar, her hair is down and bangs out her eyes. So you see her ability first and not her disability.
But I think that brings up a good point, is that a lot of people feel that the first thing that they would go to when you think of a blind superhero or a character would be Daredevil.
Ugh.
Well, I only think you had Toph, and I feel like her ability are similar to Daredevil, where it represents using echolocation. So you're using the echoes of sounds around you to kind of paint a picture of what's around you.
Right. And two other versions of ways people show up with the eyes is by showing someone that has cataracts, either from bipolar or from RP. And that's when you see any characters like Serenity Wheeler from Yu-Gi-Oh! Where their eyes are dull shaded color. Or characters that are, oh gosh, really fun to say. Heterochroma, which means that their eyes are two different colors. And the example of this would be Ciel again, and also Lelouch from Code Geass, because when he has his ability activate, one eye is actually red, the other one is his normal eye color. Which I'm not sure what it is, because another common trait to be having color blindness, which is really common, especially around men. And usually it's that they can't see the color of red or green.
I mean, that's why they went with that color for his people.
Maybe. As Larry mentioned, you can show it as well with using echolocation. You can show them using a familiar, either an animal or, as we sometimes joke, a human guide dog.
Which is basically somebody that's sighted that's helping you get around, basically. Like a guide dog.
An example for an animal companion would be Mata Odin from Princess and the Frog. She used her snake pet Voodoo to help her get around her shop and create different spells.
I just feel like either as like a serf animal or a emotional support animal, so many different animals are used to do different things. Why can't they pull that into the fantasy realm and have a mythical creature fill that role? That'd be cool. So, I'm sure a lot of people want to include a character in a story that's blind or visually impaired. What are some of the things that you would suggest for them not to do?
Well, my first statement is that if you want your character to have some type of vision disability, do not heal it at the end of the book. Either by creating a magical formula or just a lecture. Because at the end, if you undo it, what was the point of showing his character's growth with his disability?
Yeah. I knew it was gonna be the first thing you brought up, because we don't like that.
No.
I mean, I know we both, like, between the both of us, we both read a lot of fantasy, so I feel like I feel like you have a good point. I feel like that's such an easy cop-out of just being like, oh, what's the fantasy realm? So they found this magical water, like the elixir, and I can see.
Yes. Or that the other one, which I've dealt with LARPing, is that's a hoax for a symphony or to make money, which is just an insult to the blind community. So I would not do that.
What do you mean, like it's a con?
But yeah, like your character is pretending. They're not actually blind.
Ooh. Okay, but what if? Do you think this would still be insulting if, like, to show the character growth and development? If they were trying to like be a con artist in that way, and like something like they get in an accident and they become blind, like for real?
Now see, there is a scientific explanation though that if you're hit in a certain spot around your head and the ocular is damaged, you can become blind.
Right, because sorry,
good.
Because the retina becomes detached.
Right. And if for your surgery or you hit in the same spot a second time, it can gain back your vision through that.
I don't know. I don't know if that's how. You have to like look up like the percentage of how often it really happens.
I don't believe it, but I've seen it done in shows.
Well, I mean, technology and science and medicine have come a long way.
Right.
So, I mean, I know a lot of people in the blind community that have had like 10 or 20 different surgeries and they've gotten some vision back, but then
that's not fully recovered. That's what I'm saying. That's another thing you don't do. Don't have them be injured and lose your vision and then let them have the surgery and it's back to 100%. Like I said earlier with the example of Shirley Miller, she had the surgery to detach and move. However, right in the series when they show her eyes aren't fully back to normal. She still has some part of recessive gene of that disability.
I mean, they definitely probably show it better in the manga than the anime. I haven't read the manga, but
no, it is. But I'm saying that was the only one I think of where they showed someone had surgery to try to fix it.
Yeah.
And if you want to show your character, but you don't want to show it focus mostly on your eyes, you could also show their interaction with other people as another way to show their disability. So for me, a lot of times I will turn my body towards the left. I will look with my head tilted toward the left when talking to someone because that is my stronger side. And you can show your characters doing this. You can show them turning a certain way, tilting your head a certain way. Sometimes you'd show like them having like a nervous tick, which is moving side to side, then playing their fingers because they could also be assimilated, which is common among the blind community. Because of the fact you're being overwhelmed with all these different sounds, smells, etc., then you sometimes need something to drown yourself.
But does that prove that when you lose one of your senses, your other senses are heightened?
It does happen sometimes, but it doesn't happen to every person. I mean, you're an example of that. Like, my senses are heightened, but yours aren't.
No, I don't know. I mean, I feel like my hearing is better than my other senses, but again, when you can't see, you're relying on the other sense to kind of be your eyes. So I don't necessarily think your senses are heightened. I just think you're training them in a different way to make up for that deformity.
Exactly. And I do stress that if you're going to write a disabled character, whether it be someone that's blind, deaf, a mute, or has some kind of physical disability or mental disability, you need a sensory reader.
Yeah, sensory readers are awesome. I was fortunate enough to be one for someone, and they were trying to write a flash fiction of a child getting a guide dog, which was super cute. It's supposed to be like a picture book.
Aww.
And they've never really interacted with anybody that was blind, so they didn't really know that process. And their first pitch of the story was okay, but you could tell it they did a lot of research, and it kind of seemed, the only interaction kind of seemed robotic. So I just said, and blindness is a spectrum. Every person experiencing it differently. So I just pulled from my experiences and said this is what I would do to make the story better.
Right. And I do agree, like, do your research, but also maybe if you're going to focus on one version of blindness, see if there's someone that you can go interview and interact with, so that way you have a more, what's the word? Brain fart. But you have more implicit idea of what is for them living that, instead of just on paper.
Well, I was gonna say, like, I had a light bulb moment too of like, if you know somebody in your area that is visually impaired and that's what you want to write, maybe like take them out to lunch or take them out to coffee and be like, can I just observe? Like, not in a creepy way, just like, I don't know. I feel like there's things that you do that you don't notice, so you wouldn't probably point out to somebody, but
yes,
they might, if they're observing you, they might see it.
Right. And another thing is, do your research, because unfortunately, when it comes to the media, there is still a lot of negative stereotypes when it comes to dealing with someone that's disabled. Like, for example,
Rude.
sorry about that, guys. If you want to show your character going out for a meal or going out with friends, the waiter not talking to that blind person, but talking to the person next to them, asking for their order. Or,
sorry, I know that's your biggest pet peeve. I hate it too.
Or if you see someone struggling, just to grab and start pulling them without. My pet peeve when people come up to me and they grab you because A, you don't know who they are, because they haven't said, "Hi, my name is Jane. Do you need help?"
Yeah.
You don't know if they're a friend or a stranger, and then you don't know they're taking you. You're gonna panic. You're gonna freak out. Like, because of the fact that you LARPed, I still tell my friends, we've done this game for a couple months now. I still need you to announce yourself.
Yeah, because I'm sure being in an environment with more than one person, like, I don't know. I get overwhelmed when I'm in a big crowd because all the voices just sound like bees buzzing in your head. But going back to what you said about not liking about being talked about, like when you're with friends.
Right.
I was gonna give an example because I don't know if that was clear. So say you went out to lunch with Sarah, and we'll bring back James because that's a fun name. So Sarah could ask James like, "Hey, how's Nicole doing?" And Nicole could be sitting at the table with him. It's like, why don't you just ask Nicole? She's right there. I don't know if that, and this has happened to a lot, especially like to us with family. But I just don't know if they're just afraid that you're gonna be like defensive and not really want to answer your question, or they're uncomfortable talking to you in general. I don't get it.
Right. And then another thing though, if you show your character going from an area they're familiar with, say like your house or your school, and you're going to a new cafe, you're just show them wanting to go and explore and know where the counters are, where the bathrooms are, where the edits are, because it's new to them, and to them, they're walking into an area and it's just a giant black space, or gray space, depending on how much vision they have. So for you, someone that has full vision, you can just go into a store and you can automatically see where it is, where someone that doesn't have as much vision or is fully blind, they won't know unless they're told or they are allowed to explore.
But on the flip side, like if you want to show that your character is suffering from anxiety, like that would be a good example because going into a space that you've never been to before and when you can't see, it's
overwhelming.
It's very yeah, it's very anxious because you don't know where anything is, and sometimes I'm definitely the more expert one of the pair, and I don't mind asking people for help, but it just sucks because you want to be independent and you want to be able to find a thing on your own, but sometimes it's just not feasible.
I do have funny stories that you do have people that are nice and helpful, but then it's funny when they're too helpful and it backfires on them. For example, if someone asks you where the bathroom is, It's okay to leave them to the bathroom. But you stay, it is your own fault what happens after that. Because in case the person has a dodo, that's when you have to deal with the smell.
I know we're gonna take questions at the end. I just remember to like check back into the chat.
Are there questions? Or you wait till the end?
I mean, yeah, I mean, Mom and Mag have not gonna bunch.
No, well, I mean, we can answer some. I mean, covered almost all our talking points. I was trying to brainstorm what to talk about.
We have like another 20 minutes, so.
Okay. Well, yeah, we can start answering some questions.
Okay. If you guys think of additional questions to ask when we're answering these, like, just leave them in the chat. But
sorry, guys, my glasses are fogging up. That's why I keep taking them off. I'm just putting them off my head. There you
go. I had a brain fart too. Oh, then our awesome moderator for posting our link. Sorry, that's what I got distracted by. You know, shiny.
Yeah.
Sorry, I should have let you like.
Oh, so another thing you guys can show in your books. Sorry, I have a stutter. Is does your character read Braille, or do they use media such as their phones or tablets? Do you use text to speech? Because not all people that have this impairment either are taught or have the ability to read Braille.
Yeah, apparently I learned if you have neuropathy, so that's when the nerves in your finger are dead from either diabetes is a common one, but also if like, you know, you had an injury to your hands or if
sorry, I didn't get you off.
Yeah, you're fine. Or if you bite or pick your nail, which is something I did as a kid, and I still do, that contributes to it as well.
Really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. And so because your nerves in your fingers don't work as well, you have a hard time feeling the Braille, and it makes it a lot harder to read it.
I was gonna say another thing is if you stretch, your hands are pretty bad from falling a lot because people that don't have the vision, we're clumsy. We do trip and fall on a lot of things. Whereas like now when I fall, I'm like a cat, I know how to fall and hurt myself.
Oh, okay. So a lot of people are asking about our thoughts on Daredevil, and we decided to not talk about it. We can.
Yes.
That his ability, and I agree with his argument that his ability is just the over-exaggerated form of echolocation. Yes.
Now see, there's two different versions of echolocation. There's one, like I showed with Matt Murdock or with Toph, where they're showing that you hear a sound and it creates a 3D quick image of what you're seeing. There's another version of echolocation where you hear a sound as well, but you're not getting as much accuracy. You hear a sound, and you know, okay, it came off my left, and that's all you're given.
Go ahead.
And some people can use echolocation because they'll do a clicking sound or tongue.
Mm-hmm.
Or they'll snap your fingers.
Yeah, I was just gonna say I feel like Daryl's abilities are more like Toph, like, but more exaggerated because it's almost like he can see from the sound that he gets.
The only thing that annoys me about it is that every time it rains, people say, "Oh, no, Daredevil, and you have perfect clear vision." It doesn't work that way. Actually, when it snows or rains, it makes it worse for me because then I didn't understand about sounds, and it's just blurry images of me.
Yeah, even when we were doing travel training, that's orientation mobility, but like learning how to use a cane, they're like, "Oh, it's pouring down rain outside. Let's go travel because it'll make all the sounds more extinct, like more distinct, and it'll be easier to get around." It's like, no. It's like dropping a bunch of marbles on the floor and hearing all the things going off in your ear.
And people think you're weird if you're walking in the rain without a hood or umbrella. Which, I forgot to mention that, is that that's a noticeable you can show if your character using a white cane, which is the actual term for the sticks blind people use, which people will call them sticks, that's not the word. Other things I've seen people use in their fantasy stories is someone having a staff.
Or even just like a walking stick would still work, right?
Yeah, or a walking cane. And for that example, if anyone has the opportunity to read the Sword of Truth series,
yay!
There is a blind character in that was a sorceress. He was as high as Zed in the Wizarding Council. And she lost her sight and is still a protector of the barriers.
So at a point, but then because I seen this other question by Mom Maggie, like bring all the awesome questions. What is your least favorite way character become blind if they aren't born visually impaired? And my point was like, there's an argument in the blind community of, do you think it'd be easier if you were born blind, born visually impaired, and progressively lost your vision like us, or suddenly lost your vision like overnight?
Or, in the sense of Paul, I follow him, another YouTuber, you only have a small pinpoint vision and the rest is static.
I mean, I think in the point where that your vision is deteriorating over time is kind of depressing because every day is just like another struggle on top of what you're already dealing with.
Right.
And not that you should like reflect back and think like, oh man, it used to be awesome when I could see see color or something. Or, be able to see something coming up behind me. But with RP, you have television where you can only see right in front of you.
Right.
But on the other hand, for a lot of people, knowing that your vision is going worse and worse and you will eventually become blind, you can be proactive and kind of figure out what kind of works for you as your vision gets worse.
Right. But back to your question, what is the worst way to lose your vision? I know some people will say if you look quickly, like if you're in a car accident or a ride accident, because sometimes you're riding a horse, you get kicked by the animal or you get thrown off. And that's another way some people lose your vision. If you do, like Lauren said, genetics, where one day you wake up and you don't have your vision.
Right. I know in a lot of anime and cartoons, they don't really show how it happened. It's just part of that character. Like in Bleach, Tofin, the blind guy.
Yes, I know you're thinking of. I cannot pronounce his name.
I think I'm close. Anime names can be hard to pronounce, but
Agreed.
That was an interesting character because they showed that he was blind and he basically could manipulate shadows.
Yes.
And gave the character, or gave his opponent that sense of what it's like to be blind because they were just immersed in darkness.
Right. Now, there was one book I came across where I actually put it down and walked away because I was insulted how they did the blind character.
Okay.
So, their character had vision, but they decided to play an NPC, which is a non-playable character for a game, as a blind character.
I'm talking about your art. Okay.
No, not art.
Oh.
I will mention that though.
Okay.
But it's so right now a lot of anime and stuff will do, or fantasy novels will do real world parts or KoFi gaming in their stories.
Oh.
So when they merge into the game, they're a blind character, and their reaction was freaking out, being angry, and their comments were like, "I regret this choice. I wish I'd never created this character." Which is very exciting because, we don't get a choice. We can't just, unwrite the script and give back our vision.
Tomorrow, in essence, There will be some sun and thunderstorms
What
Sorry.
was
with
that?
a high of 89 degrees Fahrenheit and a low of 60
Stereotypes. And that's a pet peeve, is that when people have in their books or an idea where they didn't have their character be blind or disabled, and if they don't like it, then down the line, they can get rid of it. And I feel like that's just a great insult because that's not how the rule works. And yes, as Lauren mentioned, I do lore, which is live action roleplay.
Nerd.
And I had another player who decided to play a blind character. And he got more help and more respect from other players than I did as a blind player.
But why?
I don't know why. But fortunately, he got upset and said, I'm not going to play this character anymore because I feel like they're disrespectful to an actual person with disability.
But like right there in the game playing with him.
Yeah. And he's like, if I'd known that you guys would warn me, I would have not suggested this character.
Oh. Well, you being a decent human being,
Yeah.
like saying like, I feel like I'm being insulting to her and her situation. I won't do this.
Exactly.
It's ruining the game. But I thought you were gonna bring up the fact that people think that you're faking it.
Gosh.
Good. No, tell them why though. You're dumb.
Yes. So the two reasons is that people think I'm faking my disability because of the fact that I wear glasses, which I mentioned before. They don't have my vision. They just help with light sensitivity.
And glare, right?
Yes.
From the lights.
And the other reason is because of the fact I can look someone directly in the eyes, which a lot of blind people can't do because a lot of people are raised that if you don't look someone in the eye, you're insulting them and you don't respect them.
I feel like it's more of a common thing if you had sight and then later on in life lost it.
Yes.
Because it's a very visual thing to be taught to have eye contact.
Exactly.
Because I mean, you can hear somebody speaking to you and look in their direction and not meet them in the eye. I mean, just be looking in a general direction.
Right, but the funny thing is, though, I have eye contact, but I don't know what their facial expressions are, what their eye contacts are, and then sometimes they'll turn the right way or go somewhere, and I'm still looking right where they were. If I'm in a dead area.
Mm-hmm. Additional note to that, it's funny that happens at my work, and I work with people that are blind, is that for people that are completely blind, because there's a pet peeve there, is that if they're talking to somebody, and they just walk away and don't say, like, all right, like, I'll see you later, or, I'm walking away now, like, some kind of verbal cue that they've walked away. And they'll just walk away and be like, I mean, eventually catch on that you're just talking to yourself. It's like, where'd the person go?
Oh, yes. And the universal pet peeve. It's over there. In life and your stories.
Or
do not do that.
Or no, even better, just point. Just point to it. I feel like this could be true in fantasy would be a way to be doing it, but she asked, Mom asked, what is your favorite assistive device, and would you like it to be represented in stories? And they're concerned. I didn't do it
this time.
We'll just wait for it to pass. It's not like it's getting closer.
Yeah, sorry about the background sound.
Motorcycle?
Yeah.
Background sound?
I need to stutter. About the background noises.
It gave you time to think about the answer. Well, I mean, we brought up the cane and how in fantasy it could be used as a staff or a walking stick. Something that's not obvious as a cane for mobility.
Or you can do what I even did, which is still have a white stick and have it decorated.
Does that look like a walking stick?
Yeah.
Did you ever have like flowers and stuff on it, right?
Yeah, it's pretty.
What's another big assistive device that you could pull into fantasy?
So for me, the big technology device I had to start using after I had cataracts come in is my phone as a magnifier. Because a lot of magnifiers made for the blind community have bright lights, so I can't use them. But I can no longer read small print, so I still need a magnifier. I do like that. I don't remember if it's Star Wars or Star Trek. But they had devices that they would scan books or pieces of paper, and then a hologram would come up, and it would start talking, describing what was on the hologram. And I think that's cool. Yeah, it's like a merger between a magnifier and speech to text.
Or you could just train a parrot to speak to you. Maybe that goes to think that to you.
You're going to Pecker, aren't you, from
Yes,
Jack?
yes.
Yeah, if anyone plays the Jack series, there's a seer named Owen who is blind and mute. And she has a macaw, which is a hybrid between a monkey and a parrot. And it's Ravager.
If I remember correctly, like she is a guy or girl, I forget that.
It's a woman.
That she signs to it, and then it mimics like what it thinks she's signing to him.
Yes.
Yeah. Kind of annoying character, but a cool way to like represent more than one disability at one time.
Yes. Because there are some people in the blind community that are blind and deaf, or blind and mute, or blind in a wheelchair, or have some repair. Sir.
Cerebral palsy.
Yes, thank you. And like for me, like you guys seen, I think it's really excited about talking. Is they can also have speech impairments or stutters, and that can also be another thing you can show as well. Because for some people, the vision isn't just the eyes, it's other parts of their bodies as well.
Oh, I like what Mom Maggie wrote, but it has that stupid heart thing away. I can't read it all.
Oh no.
It says, I have a partially sighted character whose farm had a white pebble path between the buildings. In the winter, there are guidelines because of the snow.
Oh. Yes. So sand and snow are not fun if you don't have vision. Because of the fact they're the same texture as packed earth. On snow, if it's hard enough, you'll hear your shoes. But on sand, all sound is taken away. So not only not have your sight, but now you also don't have location or verbal cues to be around either.
I like the idea of there being like a textile boundary of like, okay, just follow this path and I'll be alright.
Which, if I remember correctly, it has been a long time to read series. Where it's sort of true. She also had a boundary line around her house to make sure that she didn't go into the veil bathtub.
Yeah, I think it was hedges.
Yes.
Like hedges cut like in a path. Like if as long as I stay on the inside, as long as I stay on this side of the hedges, I'm safe.
Right.
If I go around it, then I'm in the veil.
Right.
Which is like, how would like purgatory almost of like spirit realm.
Yes. Which is interesting though, because I feel like that's something you just do is to have boundary lines or something that's textile so you can tell the difference. For example, my one friend, her house, all the floors are in textile. So I was able to put my feet up and be like, all right, we're on carpet. That means we're about to head outside. Now we're on hardwood floor. Now we're in the kitchen, etc. I know another way to do that is for fantasy, you could have a different smell in different rooms. If you don't want to do something that's tactile based.
Okay, this room smells like roses. This might be the bathroom.
Right.
Which not checking there. You probably know what I thought out of my head.
I know.
But another thing I thought, if you're writing, sorry to keep just saying like fantasy. I know there are other genres out there, but that's all we read. So that's
Well, fantasy and paranormal.
Oh, I thought you were trying to say erotica. That's just made you laugh. But anyway, if you want to show the character is blind or visually impaired and you don't want them to rely on Braille, they could kind of have like they would be able to see in their head from like touching it.
Yes, I did that for my characters.
Oh, cool.
Yeah, so for one alert, I was playing a blind dark elf, and she had learned a spell from the scrolls that all she had to do was run her hand across the letters, and it would reappear in her head. Because, even if someone's fully blind or has some vision, everybody still dreams. Now, what's in their head might not be realistic, but it might just be what they associate with what they think it is. Like, I forget what commercial it was for, but it was a child watching Wizard of Oz that was fully blind, and they're showing in her head on screen what she thought the characters looked like. Which should also be a very cool thing to show in your book, is to show the outside world and then show in their head what they think that same scene is to them.
Ooh. Like, if you have a lot of like soft carpets and like hardwoods, like in your head, you might think your house is all like in the like theme of like wood, warm colors.
Right.
But in reality, it could be like full of like decoration and different colors in each room.
Right.
Or you might not know that unless somebody describes it to you.
And someone could say, "Oh, this carpet's green, like the grass." But if you were born colorblind or without vision, you might think that to you green is maybe purple or lilac.
Black.
Right. But for people that just see in shades of different shades of gray or white and black, and you don't see colors at all.
Maggie brought up a good point that a lot of times people discredit that people that are visually impaired can memorize the layout of their house. We were actually talking about this earlier that we a lot of times when there's a really bad storm or thunderstorm, we'll lose power, and our parents are sighted. So to them, it's like the world has ended, and they're just like, "Well, we can't get around. We can't do this. We can't do that." And we're just like, "It's any other day." So it's a place where you live, or it's a place that you frequent a lot.
Right.
You're gonna know the layout at the back of your hand. You're gonna have it memorized.
Right. So there's actually a term for that, which is called having a pictorial memory, where you can see images or you do a task multiple times, and it's ingrained in your memory. Which is funny because that's another way people will make the misconception that you're not blind if you're able to go around a room and not trip or slam anything. Not realizing that in your head, you're just following a map.
Mm-hmm.
Now, if you watch the person, you'll pick up that, hey, you're going the same route every time you enter the room.
Instead of like going like a zigzag line or a different route.
Right. Which is also another pet peeve for the blind or impaired community is 1,100 people, and they move stuff, they open cabinet doors, and they don't tell you.
Where you have the layout of a room memorized and they redecorate and you're just like, you run into shit. You're like, hey, you had a coffee table here before. Oh, it looks good there. But you're not used to it being there.
Mm-hmm.
And then you run into it every time.
So we've moved at least 6 or 7 times now.
I hate moving.
And our mom doesn't get why every time we get to a new house, why our bedrooms are always the same exact setups every time.
Oh my god, every time?
Yeah.
Wow. Okay. And they're kind of the same.
Yeah.
Like, not like, obviously, like, we have different personalities, but of like where the major furniture is. That's funny.
No, not necessarily, because your setup for your room is more towards the light, where mine is away from the lights.
Into the shadow. Where
Yes.
you belong. Again, another thing that fits.
But my point is, though, is that it's not cool for someone to move Ivan around and not either guide the person and show them what was moved, or, just being a nice person, just putting it back in the gun. A lot of times, we will slant into open cabinets in the kitchen, not knowing that someone did an item and they did not shut it. Because another thing that someone have that still falls into being visually impaired or blind is having trouble with contrast or depth perception.
Mm-hmm.
So you could see, oh look, the cabinet's open, but for them, they just see a black wall, or they don't see an indication of the cabinet open until it's too late.
Mom Maggie said one of the characters in her story blind from the lighthouse. As you can feel the temperature of the room and the light is on.
That's cool.
And they kind of did try to explain this when I was doing orientation mobility training. That a lot of time you're supposed to be able to sense the temperature in the air and know if the room is open or if there's a door open.
Mm-hmm.
But I think because a lot of my senses are not as heightened, I could not detect it.
Now, it's easy to do if you're by yourself or if you're a person, but when you're in a full room, it's a lot harder. Because that's your body heat, and now you have to deal with using the temperature or air currents, overlaying with multiple voices, multiple movements. It can get overwhelming, and it is a little harder to tell.
But I mean, it is another feat that you can give your character. That's a real thing.
Yes, I just kind of forgot about it because it's not common knowledge.
Well, the other thing that made me think of is that when we were being taught cardinal direction, of a compass, they're like, just feel the sun on your face, and that's what was that, north?
Yes.
And you're like, it's 100 degrees outside. Every which way I look, it's hot. This is not helpful. I guess if you're in a colder climate, that would be more.
Then if you have light sensitivity, the last thing you want to do is put your face towards the sun.
Your character looked up into the sun to tell which direction they're going and bursted into flame.
But like I also mentioned, definitely share your character being clumsy. Because that is a fun trait, because you're making up for a lack of sight. So if you're tripping over everything on the floor, carpeting being messed up for an animal or someone running over it, pavement being uneven. So what happened to me, and this is a funny story, is you doing something when you had vision and then not realizing that vision's gone until you run into something. So for me, it was growing up playing tag. And I didn't realize I'd lost my peripheral vision until I was playing tag and I face planted into a tree.
Damn.
Or chasing someone and not seeing that when we're on the corner, you're about to hit a flight of cement steps. Which is annoying when you see people write for visually impaired blind characters and everything they do is perfect, or they don't stumble, or they don't run into things, because that's not realistic. You're going to do it.
Well, I mean, speaking of, being clumsy, I mean, you're somebody can say, well, what if I make a character a dancer? I mean, you're doing ballet, but I would say, you could still be clumsy and run into something and then, catch yourself in, a dancer with a dancer move or something. I don't know. But I'm graphing it still.
But for dancing, then you have the fun concept of when you spin, you're supposed to find a point in a room, focus on that point when you turn your head, prevent yourself from becoming dizzy. But if you're blind, you can't spot. which is a term for that.
Yeah, because all you see is darkness.
So what you have to do instead is you have to physically teach yourself how to do a spin and not get dizzy.
What do you do?
You go into a padded room and start spinning.
Oh, you just train your muscles not to get dizzy.
Exactly. Because you don't have that option of having a spot or a visual cue to help you right now. Just like when you're in the group and you're trying to do a routine, everyone else can just do their spots on the stage, or you're doing theater or doing dance. For you, on the other hand, you have to tell them other concepts. So if you're supposed to be 5 feet from the left wing of the stage, you just can't walk on the stage. You have to think, all right, it's 5 steps to the spot. Or there's a prop on the stage. I have to go to that prop, and it's passive. Because you're not going to have markings. And growing up in theater, that was things I had to learn because I wasn't doing spots on the floor. Because you would start out with red X, and over time you'd learn it and you take the X's away.
Wow. You're like, wait, where'd my guy go?
So to counteract that for me when I got older and lost my vision, I would have a step buddy. So when it was time for me to go on stage and perform, I'd be walking with another actor, and they would put me in the spot. But it would look natural and part of the play.
So we have 10 minutes left. You guys wanted to ask any personal questions or questions about writing a blank character? I just want to throw that out there before I ask my question. Well, I mean, you kind of already answered it, but I'll ask it anyway because it might trigger a rant.
Oh, God.
So we saw the other day they're making a new animated film for Avatar: The Last Airbender. And instead of bringing back the voice actor that originally did talk, they had found another blind voice actor, and I'd said, oh, they exist. Because, surprisingly enough, the voice actor that originally did talk isn't blind. Her character's just blind. But this new person is actually a blind voice actor, like the blind her from YouTube. So that's supposed to trigger a rant, but
No.
You're not feeding into the flame.
Nope. Because I already started a video about this on my channel. Because there is a live version of Avatar. And they did a greenlit for season 2, but the actor for that isn't. And I already did that rant, and people want to see it, they can watch that video. I'm not repeating it. That's not worth it.
But I guess if you're writing a character that wants to pursue a field that's visual, did you have any advice?
Oh, that's what you're doing.
Sure.
If they want to do a trade or a career that's business based, like for example, baking, acting, dancing, either acting like on stage or on film. They want to be an artist. If they want to be a vet or work with children. And the list is on and on. Then you're going to have to show the hardships because a lot of doors will be slammed in their face. A lot of times you have to do the unorthodox route in order to get your dream because mainstream society will not let you have it easy way. And as a personal example, I love to bake. I would love to be a baker and have my own cafe and have my own bakery, etc. However, a lot of times when people see the chain, I'm not allowed to get the job. Or recently, I'm allowed to practice the baked goods. I'm not allowed to touch or bake or decorate.
Boo.
And unfortunately, that's a common persona when it comes to someone's ability trying to do a field that's not non-vision based. So a lot of people think it's easier. You just have them like work on a computer, work from home, do coding or data analysis, because they just have this assumption that you can't do it, it's too challenging, it's too hard, or you're a fragile child doll, you'll get hurt, it's not worth the risk.
So another good question from Mama Maggie, and you kind of do with me. So my answer always can be yes, but she asked you like when wait staff tell you where your food is on a plate, like so you have like your drink is at 1 o'clock.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean you do this a lot with me because your vision's better than mine. Because otherwise I'll just touch everything on the plate.
Right. But again, it's not bad when it's just like, me and Lauren, we do a lot of things together, so we have our little quirks. But if you're with a larger group or with strangers, people might get dressed out, or they might just assume that, hey, you're struggling, I'm going to do it for you. For example, you're sitting at a table and they have your drinking glasses next to another person's.
And they don't differentiate which and who is.
No. And you accidentally overreach and you grab the other person's glass by accident. Now, I've seen some examples where they're polite and they say, hey, stop, that's not yours. To the extreme, where they start screaming at you, start calling you names, and try to slap the glass out of your hand.
But do you think like if the waiter like put the glass down and said, hey, your drink's at 1 o'clock, do you think that would prevent that? Or
I think so. Happen? I mean, I do like to meet at waiters and they'll describe the table layout to you. And then when they bring a new dish or new drink, they'll re-describe the table and explain where it is.
Yeah, they did that for us when we went to local.
Yeah, that's what I think. No. So when we went to local, when you set the table, they'll tell you the table's empty, it's set. On the very edge to the left is, the shelf takers, etc.
And then you had a bottle of water, like a wine. I thought it was a wine bottle at first, but it was water.
Yeah.
And your glasses are in the center of the table.
Right. And be warned, the bottle comes with a lid, but we took the lid off because we didn't want you to struggle and knock it over.
I mean, it was like it was hard to open.
Yeah. And would it be insulting? Now, this is what much more people would do. Is it insulting if I do this for you? Can you do it yourself? Do you need help? Or is it easiest if I just do it instead?
I mean, I feel like we had that issue with her and family. Like, when we go stay with family, and they just
do everything
for you. Instead of just saying, like, later on, they were trying to, like, brush it off as, like, oh, it's a small area, it was just safer for me to do it. But it's like, but I'd like to be asked.
I still think it's hilarious when you pour a drink and it versus our sisters.
But I'm not putting my finger in the drink.
That's not what they see.
It's perched on the very, very edge. I don't miss the cup entirely and go all over the table.
Now, there are tools that you can put on glasses that will tell you what's filled. However, they are vibrators or make loud chimes, which for me, having high sense of hearing,
want to throw it out the window.
Yes. But no, like I said, I prefer someone to describe it because then it's easier and it's less stressful.
Dang, our time is up
already.
Yeah, it's 6:59.
Dang.
I mean, I was literally like, I want to make sure we had time to do our closing.
Yeah.
But that was a really good discussion. I feel like
we had a lot of questions from.
Yeah, we had a lot of good questions from audience, which was awesome. So if anybody's watching the replay and they come up with a question, just leave it in the comments, and one of us or both will answer it.
Right. And if you have characters that are blind and impaired, let us know if you are seeking out a sensory reader And we can help either doing it ourselves or getting you in contact with someone that has that disability you're doing for.
Yeah, 'cause I'm not gonna lie and pretend like I know all the answers.
No. Especially if you're doing for a vision disability that we don't have.
Yeah, blindness is a spectrum, and like even for us, two people that have the same disability, it affects us differently. So
Exactly.
you would get insight into that from two different perspectives.
Right. But it's another point that a family can have more than one person with a disability, but they might not have the same symptoms or mutations for that disability.
But don't forget to check out the awesome links that the moderator have put in the chat, and check out the AWK playlist that is also linked in the description for the next presentation. I need to go back and rewatch all the ones from yesterday.
Agreed.
There's been so many awesome presenters already. Like, I'm excited for what's in store for tomorrow.
Yes.
And I think this was an awesome way to end. I think they're an after party. I gotta look at the list, but presentation wise, this is like a really good way to end the night.
And like Lauren said, you guys have any more questions, or if you're curious about anything mentioned in the video, such as any of the tools, or more about an OMM instructor, or what OMM is, let us know in the chat.
Alright, well, you guys enjoy the rest of the conference, and see you guys in the chats and the other presentation tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye!